And we're live, I think.
Oh, there we go.
Demonetized within the first minute. We'd love to see it.
All right.
Anyways, all right, that was a great show, y'all.
Good night.
Just kidding.
Right.
Oh, it's been a long weekend to all you BC for us over here. But hello, all you BC WrestlePod nerds out there.
Not halal. Hello. Halal is like good Indian food.
I mean, I don't know at this point. My name is Mikey. I'm MLFA here at BC WrestlePod. As you can see, I'm joined by these two clods, these clowns, if you will.
Clown.
But
Hong Kong, baby.
Anyways, I'm joined by, for the first time ever, in the same room as each other, Minnie and Adolfo, the nerdy Puerto Rican. And they're both here against their own will to review NXT Stand and Deliver with me.
He has my wife and kids.
Sure. If that's all it took, we'll go with that. No, but gentlemen, I appreciate you being here this evening.
Blinking in Morse code.
It's like blink twice if you need help.
My hair is just itchy. That's all I'm saying.
That's your fault. That's your fault. So we are here to review NXT Stand and Deliver for the weekend that was WrestleMania weekend, which also included GCW shows. We're almost at the end of Hell Week. All the watch-alongs are done. Now we just got to get the wrestling. It was a lot of wrestling, which you will get to see throughout this week of the stuff that we review. But before we get into everything that was Stand and Deliver and have a conversation about that, if you are new to the channel or if you've been here forever, hi, how you doing? If you like what you see here on the screen, or even if you don't, that is okay because we love it either way. We want to hear your thoughts and your comments and all that good stuff. You can leave comments in our YouTube and our Twitch videos, as well as follow us all over the social medias. Literally, if you go onto any social media site and look us up at BC WrestlePod, we are pretty much anywhere and everywhere. We are on the Facebook, the Instagram, the TikTok, the Blue Sky, the Threads. We have pretty much everything and anything at this point. This is fantastic. So if you want to see more than just videos like out of context clips that will totally not come and haunt us down the line when we get famous and the internet tries to cancel us, or if you just want to see, how we grade these weekly shows and pay-per-views, then you should probably go tune into the social medias to get all our breakdowns for that. But with that out of the way, let's get into it. Boys, well, minus you, Minnie, because this is not your first Stand and Deliver. You were part of the watch-along team last year for Stand and Deliver. But Adolfo, this was your first NXT Stand and Deliver ever, because you are not a person that usually watches the Federation of WWE.
I happily do not watch the Fed. Yes.
So before we get into it,
I felt NXT Stand and Deliver was the best out of them. I'm happy to be alone on my island. But I think stem to stern, all the matches were solid. They delivered. They were entertaining. And of all the shows, as a non-Fed watcher, me saying, wow, I actually wouldn't mind tuning in to see where this goes or where this goes. So,
right. And then different question for you, Minnie. How did this Stand and Deliver stack up to some of the previous ones, like last year?
I'm just serious, so I won't get fined. It was good. This one was good. Even the weakest matches on the card were still great matches. It was really, really good. Very solid. Every match was good. So it's one of the ones I think it's going to be up there in probably the top 3 to 5 best days of the year.
Absolutely. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to break down all the matches that occurred at Stand and Deliver, give our thoughts and things like that. So we're going to kick things off with what was on the pre-show for the countdown show, whatever you want to call it, for Stand and Deliver, which was a fatal 4-way tag team #1 contenders match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. Winner of this match will go on to tomorrow night on NXT to face our newly crowned champions of Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. That is the sentence that I said today. So in this match, the 4 teams that were involved, of course, we have the Metaphor Girls of Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. We have Fatal Influence being represented by Fallon Henley and JC Jade. We have what I lovingly called the Toxic X Girls of Tatum Paxley and Gigi Dolan, being accompanied to the ring by Shotzi, who I've missed on my screen so dearly. And then last minute, congratulations, you moved the camera. And then finally, we have, and now it's just I want to stay there. We'll fix it later. And finally, added last minute to the match was Roxanne Perez, who found a tag team partner in Cora Jade.
He's not here anymore.
Yeah, he's not here anymore.
You can go home.
No, you don't got to be here for this review. So as I said, unbeknownst to us, this was a fatal 4-way elimination style match where if one member gets pinned or submitted in this match, the entire team is eliminated until there's only one team left standing. So I'm going to come to you first, Adolfo, because this was, again, your first NXT, so we're going to put you on the spot for this one. How did you feel about the match in its entirety? What were some of your favorite bits about it? And, just whatever you feel like saying. What you think of the match?
So overall, and this is one of those matches that made me want to tune in to the next NXT to see what happens. This was a great opener, if we're going to call it an opener. This was a great opener. Had a lot of energy, a lot, not to overuse the phrase that we use in our marketing, but a lot of twists and turns, if you will. I don't want to call the individuals that wrestle in NXT. It's like an old school picture.
I was counting the wrestling team. The next thing you know, the camera's like, "You're the hot one." I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, sure. We'll fix this. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't want to call the individuals that wrestle on NXT kids because I know that a lot of them have years from other companies and whatnot under their belt, and they're just, being, I'm not going to call them rookies, but they brought it. They brought it. They wrestled hard. There were a few instances that I felt like it was an Amazonas match from CMLL, which I loved.
There it is, guys. It's CMLL call. Always got to bring it up.
And yeah, that's, it was a great match. It was a bummer that it was not on the actual card. However, now that I've watched the entirety of Stand and Deliver, I have no idea what match I would have cut from Stand and Deliver to substitute in it. I have matches I would have cut from the to card of WrestleMania to cut this match in.
Absolutely.
100%.
But we'll get to that
later this week. All right, I faced the camera issue. We got it. So, Adolfo, you may go sit.
Camera's been solved.
Yes. We're going to manually do this because
So I'm not, but spoiler.
Gigi and Tatum win this match.
Because Roxanne Perez just left Core J to get her ass kicked. So it was good. It's as good as you like. There was a lot of times with a lot of the women's matches, you can definitely tell there's timing issues. No timing issues.
Yeah, definitely.
Everybody was boom, 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 boom. And every spot was smooth. Every spot was clean. They did a really good job picking the energy. It was like, damn, this match should have been on the main card. But it's the same, like what Adolfo said, what do you take off the main card? It was all really, really good. So it was a solid match.
It really was. And again, this definitely helps out. The Meta Girls are still going to be busy because they are going to be heading to Los Angeles next weekend because they are a part of the Fatal 4-Way for the TNA Knockouts Tag Team Championships. Gigi and Tatum will be facing and Becky tomorrow night on NXT. Fatal Influence will probably still run roughshod on NXT, but I'm more interested in what's going to happen with Cora and Roxanne because it seems like we're getting ready to send Roxanne finally to main roster. So her versus Cora will probably be her final NXT match. Have Cora win and send on Roxanne up here. This was a fantastic opener. I think all 4 girls did great. I gotta shout out Lash Legend. She is fantastic. Homegirl is picking up and throwing chicks left and right.
Yeah.
Like she is so good. It was fantastic and fun enough. Minus Roxanne and Cora, because obviously what happened with Roxanne leaving. These are actual women's tag teams that are working together. Yeah. You saw the tag team action. You saw them use tag team maneuvers. It didn't feel like they were just teams thrown together just because. All these women have been working with each other. And this was a fantastic opener. I was like, yes, this is great. Wait, what you mean this was only on the pre-show? Which set the bar very high because, spoiler alert, by the end of Stand and Deliver, it was fantastic. But let's get into what kicked off the main card for us, which was a very solid match. This was the NXT North American Championship match between our champion, Ricky Saints, taking on All Ego Ethan Page. We got this match because Ethan won a Fatal 4-Way on the Go Home show this past Tuesday on NXT by beating out Lexis King, Eddie Thorpe, and Wesley to get into this position to fight Ricky for the title. And surprisingly enough, this was the only match that had any accidental blood in it because for the most part, Stand and Deliver kept it very clean without the blood violence. But it is no secret that all 3 of us in some shape or form are familiar with Ricky and Ethan. whether it be through here or through their previous employments in other places that, like AEW, Ring of Honor, all that good stuff.
Really good match for an NXT event.
Well, so Minnie, I'm going to come to you first. So this is what opened it up. It was for the NXT North American Champion. What did you think about the championship match?
I'm saying 2 years ago and last year, the North American Championship match was the match of the night overall. This is the only time that I've seen that actually wasn't match of the night. Does not mean it was a bad match. It was still a very good match. These two dudes are very, very good at what they do. And for me, this was my first time watching them both wrestle. I don't really watch anything else outside the Fed because, I don't watch Ring of Honor.
You just had to.
I had to do it. So it was very solid match. Really, really cool. It was a good match. I mean, I don't know what to say about any of these. They're all really good.
That is very fair. Adolfo, as somebody who is more aware of the work of Ricky and Ethan, as you were part of the AEW crew for a majority of the second half of last year, how do you think they fit into the NXT mold? And then what did you think of the championship match itself?
So when both Ethan and Ricky got sent over to NXT, I was concerned at different times, of course, because Ethan Page made the transition over first and Ricky Saints went later. I was concerned that you would have that old school WWE thought process of, no, you have to fit into our cookie cutter mold. No individuality. Naughty. They've been able to keep their old shtick, which was, I say shtick in a good way. We got all ego, and then we got Ricky saying
the revolution will be televised.
Him doing the tightrope walk thing. And saw their work on ROH. So to see them wrestle against each other, I knew it was going to be a great match. They did. Ricky Saints put on a great title defense. It's going to be, again, I'm interested to see where Ethan Page goes from here, because I know that at least from what I've seen tangentially, that like these titles have kind of been his, like, what he has been hunting after. So, now, like, the question is, to me, what happens with Ethan Page after this? And, I feel that it's going to be sooner rather than later that we're going to see Ricky Saints moving up to the main roster where he can get lost in the shuffle.
Ooh, friend to the channel, Nick, coming in. Best pay-per-view of weekend, ?
It's up there.
I think we'll kind of revisit.
It would be, and here's my opinion. I feel like it's definitely up there. My only contention will be night 2 of Mania if the main event wasn't so fucking terrible, which I'll explain when we do that.
Stay tuned Wednesday for that full review. I think of the 3 nights, even if we want to remove the word best from it, I think as a whole from beginning to end, I think Stand and Deliver was the strongest of the 3 cards, because it was the strongest of the 3 WWE shows.
I will say that Spring Break was really good.
GCW Spring Break was wild.
Stand and Deliver was the best pay-per-view for the Fed this past weekend. There were better pay-per-views, in my opinion.
I think for the WWE, the 3 with the shows that we got, I personally feel that Stand and Deliver is the strongest of the 3. We had some cool moments on the Mania for night 1 and night 2, but I think from beginning to end, I thoroughly enjoyed this card. So Ricky Saints is able to put away All Ego Ethan Page, retain the championship. But after this match, I was like, oh, y'all, Hank and Tank were holding out on me, because this is not what we got on the TV show every single week that we saw them leading into this. I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm vibing with Hank and Tank as tag team champions. But boy, did they prove me wrong. So if you couldn't already tell, this was our NXT Tag Team Championship match. Frack defending their titles against Hank and Tank. This was only a 15-minute match, but as soon as that bell rang, those 50 minutes went by quick. All 4 individuals in this match just put pedal to the metal, all gas, no break. Like, I couldn't breathe during this match because Nathan and Axiom doing what they do best, combining speed and tag team maneuvers. Hank and Tank being power-based, flying everywhere too. Shout out to Hank for selling, like, dying on the table after.
I know.
So this was fantastic. Adolfo, me and you were hooping and hollering during this whole entire match. So what is your overall thought of our tag team championship match here?
Yeah, when Hank and Tank came out, again, this is me, a non-Fed watcher, seeing these individuals for the first time. When I saw them come out, I thought that they were like a joke, silly tag team, right? We've seen those in the Fed before. There is definitely a place for silly wrestling, for goofy wrestling. And So I thought that it was going to be that type of entertaining but goofy match where Fraxium was still going to retain their title. Golly gee Willikers, was I incorrect in that? Hank and Tank winning the championship. I would like to see what happens with them next.
Absolutely. So really quickly, Minnie, before I come to you for your thoughts, Nick, say that Hank and Tank remind me of Public Enemy from back in the day for some reason, probably the looks.
Probably, yeah.
Which is definitely giving me the same energy. Yep. And also, Fraxium are definitely heading to main roster to job. Let's be honest. I hope that's probably what's going to happen, at least beginning stages when they get to roster. But I'm hoping that Hunter and more than likely, as much as I would love to see Fraxium on SmackDown be added to that really solid SmackDown tag team division, I think they should go to Raw to put energy into what's lacking right now. So we shall say, yeah, it was. I think they're going to job for a little bit, but hopefully we will get to see them utilized more. I mean, they're both solid as a tag team, and they're also solid as individuals too. So I think they'll be okay. Minnie, really quickly, coming to you.
I was taking a shit during this match, so I missed the whole thing.
All right, well, there's that part.
I was very upset because it sounded like it was really good.
It really, really was. So, we loved having you too, Nick, to being a part of the watch along. It was amazing. It was really great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was really fun. So, Hank and Tank walk out as this match as your new NXT Tag Team Champions. We get a show of camaraderie and sportsmanship because Hank and Tank go in for the handshake. Axiom and Nathan kick them away, but then they're like, we're not shaking your hands. We're going to hug it out instead.
They hug it out.
So they hug it out, which more than likely symbolizes that they're going to main roster. It is going to be amazing. I cannot wait. It is going to be so good. And yes, we are having a Podmania Part 2 next year for Mania Weekend. It's going to be fantastic. So let us leave our Tag Team Championship match. And okay, let's get into this one because this one was amazing. So this was this was for the vacant NXT Women's North American Championship match. And this was a ladder match. So we had 6 women who qualified over the last couple of weeks in NXT to earn their spots here. And those 6 women were Izzy Dame, Kalani Jordan, Lola Vice, Zarya, and Thea Hale. I don't even know where to begin. This was controlled chaos.
Thea Hale dancing to the other person's entrance.
The camera cutting to Thea dancing to Lola's Vice and just being like this the whole entire time.
That was cool.
I was like, I want to be Thea when I grow up, you guys.
The match was so damn good. It was great. The fact that my girl Soul Ruka won it.
Ooh, Nick giving the comparisons of Soul to Alundra Blaze. I can actually see that too. She is so strong, so athletic. It is fantastic. Yeah, so spoiler alert, Soul Ruka is not only is she our new NXT Women's North American Champion, she is a double champion because she is also the WWE Speed. But we really don't count it on the actual TV shows because that's a Twitter exclusive championship. Which is a shame because some of those matches are pretty fire. Right. Minnie, I'm going to come to you first.
I got to turn this off. I'm getting raw.
Spoilers. We're going to be watching this afterwards. So, 6-woman ladder match for the vacant NXT Women's Championship. Stephanie gave up the title, but in return, she got to choose her opponent for Stand and Deliver. What did you think about the ladder match?
That's it. That's all I'm going to say about it.
All right, cool. Adolfo, coming to you. Ladder match. What'd you think?
I didn't know any of these women from Adam. If I saw them on my screen, I now know all their names. It was a fantastic match as far as ladder matches go, and I feel that ladder matches are one of those things that it's really hard to get right just because there's so much chaos and there's so much going on that it's hard to keep track of and get the story going and all that. Not only did these wrestlers, but the production crew itself also do a great job of keeping the camera where it was supposed to be so we could see what was going on, but also seeing what was sneaking up and coming up next. It was great. We had the dramatic moment with Zarya and Soul Ruka at the beginning, at the top of the ladder, because they are tag team partners. When they had that moment, it was a very emotional moment, and then they started slugging it out. Soul Ruka winning, you felt that. It was great. This was another match that I would have taken out of Stand and Deliver and put it on the main card on one of the nights. That's how good it was.
This was definitely a really good match. I think every woman did everything that they needed to. They all got a chance to shine. Like, for example, Thea hitting the Kimura Laga top of the ladder on Izzy.
Yeah.
Izzy being the perpetual villain and knocking girls off. Lola Vice back fisting people. Then we have the emotion.
Zarya being big woman, strong woman.
She literally tossing girls and ladders at people. I was like,
Soul Rookie hitting fucking a soul snatcher from the ladder.
Not once, but twice in the same vein. She hits a soul snatcher and then one in the corner. And then we had the emotional moment of Zarya and Sol Ruka, who are paired as a tag team right now.
They're still friends.
And they were just like, I don't want to do this. And both of them come to the agreement, hey, you know what? We're still be friends after this, but somebody's got to win this title. And they start fighting each other in the ladder.
Yup.
It was so good. I'm so excited to see Sol Ruka get this championship. It has been a long time coming, especially, Minnie and I got a chance to talk to Sol Ruka's parents 2 years ago at the Los Angeles Stand and Deliver event.
They're exactly how you think they would be.
They are hipster surfers. We love them. They were really nice individuals. They were lovely to talk to. They took a picture for us. And this was great because at this time, Sol was out with injury. She came back, and now she is NXT Women's North American Championship. I'm excited because now we get to see, eventually we'll probably get Sol versus Zarya at some point for the championship, which is going to be good. But I'm excited to see Sol go up against some other women in that mid-card division that NXT has. Like her versus Kalani as a rematch would be great. Sol versus anyone would be fantastic because Sol can work well with everyone. I'm excited. I cannot wait. And I agree with Nick. I think Zarya and Sol feuding for about a month or two would be a really solid feud for Sol. If it's not the first one, it'd definitely be a good one after that. So we're going to leave our women for now because we're going to come back to the other women's match we had. So let's talk about our next one. So this was in the middle of the card. This was a 6-man tag team match.
Hey, go.
So this is the D'Angelo family being represented in this match by Tony D'Angelo, Stax, and Luca taking on the newest faction of NXT, which is Dark State, being led by Dion Lennox and, of course, Curtis and Saquon Sugars, who is my personal favorite. I know Saquon from the independent scene, and he's fantastic. So I was super excited to see him be able to actually wrestle. So I'm going to be completely honest. This was the one match when we got the final card that on paper, I was like, this is probably not going to be my favorite match, only because I've been having a rough go with liking Dark State as a faction. It was giving me Wish.com Shield. Like these four individuals attacking the wrestlers, attacking, Robert Stone, like one of the managers of NXT, attacking, Javon and Trick and Oba and all that, and just not really being perceived as a threat. And then they got into this feud with the D'Angelo family. We had a whole entire thing. Ooh, hold up. Let's bring this on screen because them fighting words. You guys don't know good pasta, especially with, wow, I feel attacked. Love you, though.
I know an Italian place just around the corner from my house over in Jersey. All right. And that I'm going to tell you what. They have like the marinara. You kiss my own mother. I'm telling you what. Baba Galoot.
Nick, seriously, Adolfo is in New Jersey. You two should link up more often. You all are like literally within the same vicinity of each other.
Vicinity, y'all.
So I have to say this was probably the weakest match for me personally, but even saying that, it was still very strong. This is the strongest I've seen Tony like come into his own, not only as a character, but as a wrestler as well. I really enjoyed him. Luca Crucifino running wild by throwing himself and the kitchen sink at other people. Dark State impressed me in this match in the sense that now I get to see how each of them wrestle. But of course, I'm biased. Saquon Sugar is doing a lot of the heavy lifting and running her around, jumping in and out like he is the Energizer Bunny the whole entire match. This was the easiest thing to call. Towards the tail end of the match, D'Angelo family has Dark State on the ropes. Crowbar gets involved. We have a little bit of miscommunication. Both of them save each other from other members of Dark State. We think the D'Angelo family is going to pull out a win, but then, just like in The Godfather, there was a betrayal because Stax low blows Tony.
I knew it was you, Stax.
On the day of our big victory, you kicked me in the balls. To the meatballs.
So Stax low blow Tony, which allowed Dark State to get the victory and pin Tony in this match. So Dark State is the winner of this match. Minnie, I come to you first. What did you think of this 6-man tag team match?
Like I said, the weakest match of the card, but that's not saying much. The match was great. Now, this is one of those matches where I'm excited to see what's going to happen. What's going to happen with the D'Angelo family, the crime syndicate. What the mob boss is going to do. Hey,
over there.
Forget about no. I'm excited to see what they're going to do. I hope a horse head gets involved. That would be pretty cool. But it was solid overall.
So, same question. What did you think of this match?
So, in all seriousness, well, first off, shout out to Giuseppe's Pizza over in Greenbrook, New Jersey. Love y'all. Well, and this is in all seriousness without everything going on. The little intro trailer thing that we got with the D'Angelo family and the Dark State, you kind of, if you're a wrestling fan, you kind of saw the writing on the wall, right? The question was, how are we going to get there? And I feel that with the way that we got there was actually very interesting. The match itself had great wrestling moments in it. You know, I'll say chef's kiss on having the crowbar as the misdirect. And then when D'Angelo had his back turned, that's when he got the low blow done to him. That was good. The match had me riveted when I didn't think I was going to care about it. I thought this was going to be my P match. And I think I said that when we were watching it. But that's what, I thought that was going to be my P match, but it was really interesting. Great wrestling to watch. A lot of emotion, a lot of drama. And yeah, this is one of those matches that I would tune in to see where the story goes because I'm interested.
I'm excited. I would not be surprised if we get Tony in Battleground. Battleground is at the end of Battleground takes place over Memorial Day weekend. Okay. So a review would be on the Wednesday. We'll talk afterwards.
No. What I want to say is if we're going to build out this D'Angelo and what's his name? Stacks. If we're going to build out this D'Angelo Stacks story, I want a good 2-3 months of this culminating.
Right.
And I would much rather him not, because we thought at the end there that he was going to low-key join Dark State, which he didn't. He walked out by himself. And I would really like if it just stayed, D'Angelo and Stacks, fighting for the D'Angelo family. I would love a good 3-month build.
Right.
That's why I asked when Battleground was, because I don't want a quick turnaround on this story. I feel that it deserves a good simmer, cook, taken out of the oven time.
Right. I agree with you. So we'll probably start getting the building blocks of this tomorrow night on NXT when that happens. So should be interesting. My final thoughts on all of this, even though it was not necessarily my favorite match of the whole card, it was still very strong. The action was really good. Everybody got to play a part in this. This was just a really fun, chaotic 6-man tag team match, as it should be. So now let's talk about the semi-main event, because I already knew this was going to be a very solid match because you look at all the players involved. Exactly. So this is for the NXT Women's Championship match in a fatal 4-way. Our current NXT Women's Champion, Stephanie, had to give up her NXT North American Championship because she was a double champ. But in return, Ava and the rest of the management team of NXT told Stephanie that she got to pick her opponent for Stand and Deliver. So after weeks of Julia, Jordan getting in each other's faces, fighting with Stephanie and everything, both individually, tag team and all of that, Stephanie decided that she going to be the baddest girl in the game. And when she was asked who was she facing at Stand and Deliver, she says, I choose all of them. And so thus this fatal 4-way was born. So Stephanie Verker defending her title against Julia, Jordan Grayson, Miss Jada Parker. I don't even know where to begin. This was a really fantastic match. There were some good sequences, like in the middle of the ring when we had that 4-way submission with everyone craft in different submissions. We had the Tower of Doom spot. We had a 3-person stack for Jada to hit the atomic butt drop. This was a wild match. But more importantly, this was really fun because each woman got to show their specialty and what they do.
Yeah.
And of course, as some people have commented on our watch along and Booker T, that Booker, you're wild for that. I love you. But this was such a fantastic match, and I'm like,
Sorry, that's how it's
well, okay, so we'll come to you first. So, what did you think of our Fatal 4-Way and all the women involved in this match?
bang. That's what I feel about that match. It was fucking fantastic, man. Jesus, it was my first time watching some of these people wrestle for the first time. Shit, watch that bitch. The match was incredible. What? If the main event was so damn good, this will be the match of the night. But the main event was also fucking incredible. So this match, shit.
This was such a good match. Again, this card was
Come
very
on,
strong.
NXT. Stop being so damn good at your PLEs and make your fucking weekly show better.
I'm gonna be frank. NXT tends to be, if we look at the report cards every week as a whole, NXT tends to be the highest rated of each of those shows.
Good.
Because you're doing something right, Shawn
This
Michaels.
should be fucking great.
It's amazing. Adolfo, you have a different relationship because we are familiar with, me and you combined are familiar outside of Jada, who is an NXT homegrown. We are very familiar with the other three women in this match. Stephanie coming from CMLL when we started covering it. Jordan Grace for me has been a staple in the Knockouts division in TNA for the last 3 years since we started covering it. And then even Stardom with Julia and all her matches in Japan.
Yeah.
So we're a little bit familiar with their resumes, but how did you think that all the women did combining their individual skill sets together? And then what did you think of this match as a whole?
It was fantastic, differing styles, and they were able to interweave it into this beautiful masterpiece of a match that should have been on one of the main WrestleMania nights. Take out some of the other matches. This was so good. You know, it gave everyone the fan service that they want. It gave everyone like the spots that they wanted. You know, we saw Stephanie and Julia face off. We saw Jordan and Miss
Jada
Parker, right?
Yeah.
Right. Her last name's Parker.
Yeah, Jada
I'm gonna
Parker.
call her Miss Parker because
Sorry.
we're gonna give her respect.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah, Jordan. We saw Jordan and Miss Parker go off. I know that y'all were saying that of the three, that Jada Parker was
Most green.
the most green of the three, but she stood out, man. She had some great spots, showed that power, showed that, like, you know, that drive, shows that she's honing that craft. She's honing her craft.
Right.
You know, we had Jordan Grace tossing people left and right, being, you know,
Her
being
juggernaut driver
Yeah.
is crazy when she gets people up and then puts them in like the driver is crazy.
And I mean this with the utmost respect. I really, really do. We saw Jordan Grace being the muscle mommy that we know that she is, right? Which was fantastic. And, you know, like on a personal note, and Mikey knows this, when Stephanie left CMLL to go to WWE, though I was happy that she was following her dreams, I definitely was one of the ones that was afraid that, again, they were going to be like, too brown. No, none of that chippy chappy stuff.
Tone it down.
You wrestle the WWE way, which is the correct way, you know? But it seems like they're letting her wrestle the way that she knows how to wrestle.
Right.
You know, I really, you know, like between like this and the La Catalina match, right? Which I feel is like the match that she went the hardest in that I can remember, like right now. There really isn't much of a difference of like between Stephanie's performance in those two matches, and that was a banger of a match, you know. So yeah, you know, like it was fantastic, and yet, and also again, this was a match that it makes me want to tune in and see what happens next.
I think what Shawn Michaels and NXT has done really well, especially in this match, is evident is that they've been giving Stephanie opponents who can work her more stiffer lucha style and more power base of wrestling too. Like Jordan is your Hercules in this match. She is muscle mommy. She will be throwing girls, and she's athletic as all hell. Stephanie versus Julia allows both of them to work their strong style of wrestling. And though Jada is green, she can still keep up with them, and she's able to also work very stiff, which is really nice to see because Jada works as like, when fighting video game terms, she's like the brawler type of character. She has her movesets, but she's going to punch you in the face. She's going to hit you with a brick. Like, I love it. And this was such a fantastic match. I was so happy because this match was personally the one I was looking forward to the most. And it definitely delivered at Stand and Deliver for all intents and purposes. But let us get into this main event because I was also very pleasantly surprised with what closed the show in this NXT Championship triple threat. Oba Femi defending his title against Trick Williams and the newcomer Jeff Evans. My goodness, this match.
Pokemon Evolution match.
So first and foremost, we do got to point this out because it wouldn't be us if we didn't. This is according to the internet and to NXT and WWE itself. This is the first time where we have 3 African American wrestlers be main eventing a PL4.
The ref was also African.
Yes, where we have 4 African Americans, 3 wrestlers, 1 ref be main eventing a WWE/NXT pay-per-view in the company's history, which is wild to say. So I want to say that. Now, these 3 definitely delivered in this match. Of course, I'm biased, but my MVP in this in terms was Javon, because Javon does Javon does what Javon does
That's
best.
unanimous.
And he threw himself, the kitchen sink, yo mama's refrigerator,
And your mama.
and everything else he could find that was not like attached to the ground.
Yep.
Kid was defying all laws of gravity and physics. Obafemi coming in here with the power, that finisher to Javon with the like delayed pop-up sit-down power bomb was nuts. The fall from grace, which is fantastic.
Such a cool fucking finisher name, by the way.
And then you know what? I was worried about Trick because I haven't been the biggest fan of how he's been portrayed. But I still think Trick needs a new finisher outside of the trick shot, which is his knee strike. But Trick wasn't playing games either. He got into the mix. He did a lot of good stuff. This was a fantastic main event.
Every wrestler looked strong as hell.
Yeah.
Everyone walked away from this match looking really strong.
Yep. Javon Evans was milliseconds away from winning the belt like 3 times. He hit Obafemi with like 4 finishers.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Which is this is why I love Javon. Outside of him defying every law of gravity and physics, Javon is doing something that I want all the wrestlers to start doing is that when you're in triple threats or multi-person matches like this, urgency needs to be shown. Javon realized, okay, this finisher didn't work. I can't just wait and take a break. I got to go immediately into the next one. Yeah. Because Javon was playing it smart. He knew that Oba wasn't going to stay down with 1 or 2. He had to hit everything that Javon had against Oba to do so. But man, this was such a phenomenal main event. Obafemi does continue to be the ruler of NXT as he walks out of this match a champion, but compliments to everybody in this match because they all walked away being the winners to me personally as a fan. Adolfo, I'm going to come to you first. What is there more to say about this match?
I mean, there really is not. Yeah, I feel that the standout star on this was Javon Evans, but that's not to say that Trick didn't stand out as well and that Obafemi wasn't a fracking beast. There's really nothing more to add. This was a great match. Yet again, another match should have been on the main card for the other 2 nights of WrestleMania. Whatever.
Maybe next year we can swap some. Honestly, you can make night 1 just an NXT based one. That'd be kind of fun, but that requires too much.
And just overall, well, we'll finish this and then I want to give my overall thoughts.
Okay, we'll get into the final debrief of all of this. Minnie, I come to you next. What did you think of our main event for Stand and Deliver?
Javon Evans he shares the MVP slot with the ref who kicked off Obafemi.
Yes!
He straight just kicked Obafemi in the face and hit him off his legs.
Sick.
Didn't do the normal ref thing. He kicked Obafemi,
yep.
the ruler of NXT.
Yeah,
he kicked him off his legs up there. So far, 4 months into the year,
that was some
match of the year candidate.
That was some Guido Noriega stuff right there.
Love the ref stuff; it's so good. But that does bring us to the end because that is what closed out the show. And boys, we made it through Stand. So let's wrap it up with our final thoughts, and then I want to ask, what was your? It doesn't have to be the best match, but what was your favorite match of the whole card? So, Adolfo, I'm going to come to you first. Final thoughts, and then what was your favorite match?
So, my favorite match would have to be the ladder match. That was just for that moment with Zarya and Solruka at the top of the ladder. That was just fantastic. Well played out, and I'm sure that there was like real emotion going on there, but it was just well played out with the 2 of them. This. Stand and Deliver.
Stood and delivered.
It stood and delivered. It makes me not believe people when they say, "Oh, NXT is the developmental brand." No. Like these wrestlers wrestled with more heart and more intensity than a good half of the schmoes that were in WrestleMania nights 1 and 2. I will die on that hill.
Mostly night 1.
Yeah, mostly night. Oh, definitely night 1 for sure.
And people need to stop saying, "Oh, that's just the developmental brand." No, these are wrestlers. They know what they're doing. They know how to put on a good show, and they sometimes do it better than the quote-unquote superstars of the Federation.
the main roster.
Thank you very much.
So, Minnie, I'll come to you next, but I want to talk. Yes, literally, because dropping this mic would be too expensive to replace.
Yeah, right.
But no, I want to speak on something that you said, Adolfo, because I have talked to both of you after we were done with the watch along and explained, why I always love Stand and Deliver every year, because Black and Gold NXT was where most people fell in love with NXT when Shawn Michaels and Triple H were in charge of it. And then, of course, with the development of AEW, the previous, leader of WWE put NXT up against AEW. They were losing most of the time. And so Hunter and Triple H got punished. And, a lot of the stars got released or got called to main roster. And then Black and Gold NXT was no more. And then we had a 2-year period where it was a rough go. We had to go through multiple phases. The 2.0 launch was not great. We had to suffer through the Nickelodeon slime era of booking for NXT to get people over until we finally get to the silver and black brand that NXT is now. And it has been a rough 2 years for me personally, trying to convince people that NXT is actually great. And it is not just for the developmental of NXT and for the kids to go over to main roster, because these kids have been, again, because they're wrestlers. Yeah. I still call them kids because most of them are in their 20s, but even still, I agree with you, because everybody in NXT has so much more heart, and they quote unquote give more of a damn of putting on a fantastic show. Yep. And so for me, it's nice to see that finally that suffering with NXT for the up and down period that was the last 2 years, getting to where we are now, makes me happy that I decided to stick it out and stay with NXT, because this is fantastic. Now that I'm done with getting on my soapbox, Minnie, I'll come to you next. What was your favorite match, and what are your final thoughts overall for Stand and Deliver?
The main event. Absolutely, man. That was my favorite match. My favorite moment was watching my girls take the North American Championship with me winning that my minute now. This was banger after little banger after banger.
That was fantastic. So honorable mention for me is probably like the one that made me smile the most. It was the women's fatal 4-way. So with Stephanie and Julia.
That's the second place match.
Yeah.
So fucking good, but the main event was just a little bit better.
So that was I knew it was going to be good, and it was, it met my expectations and then some, so it was good. But my favorite match, the match that made me the most surprised, was probably the NXT Tag Team Championship match. And I think that's because I knew Fraxium was going to give everything that they have like they always do. But I think what made the match even better is that Hank and Tank started pulling out all the stuff that they were hiding that we have not gotten to see on NXT television. And I'm like, oh my gosh, where have you guys been for the last 2 months? So now I'm excited and I'm invested. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm on the Hank and Tank train, you guys. I want to see them continue to deliver really great matches. And I really hope that they're booked strong as champions and they're given opponents that they can work with very well. So overall, Stand and Deliver, for the consensus for all three of us, is that it was amazing. That it was a really solid show. This was a strong card from beginning to end with Countdown and all 6 matches on the main card. And you know what? To see what happens, we are getting Gigi and Tatum versus Lyra and Becky for those women's tag team championships. And who else is going to happen tomorrow night? So I'm excited. I can't wait to watch. But that's going to be it for us here with the NXT Stand and Deliver review. However, we are not done for the evening. Adolfo and I will be back in about an hour or so with our good friend and our GCW correspondent, Andrew, to be reviewing and talking about GCW Presents Effie's Big Gay Brunch, which we have an important announcement to make on that GCW show. But if you want to know what that is, you're going to have to come watch that review with us to hear that announcement. Minnie will be back later this week to review Mania Nights alongside me and the rest of the crew. So thank you so much for being here and watching us this evening. We're going to get up on out of here, take a little bit of a break before, we get into round 2 of reviews tonight and a Raw after Mania that we also are watching as well. So from all of us here at the BC WrestlePod family, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We'll see you in about an hour, but until then, and Minnie, can you remind the folks why do we do what we do here at BC WrestlePod?
Because we wanted to.
Exactly. We'll see.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's going to happen next time? Well, you're going to have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.